The Nightbeat starts right now.
A trick-or-treater confronted with a gun. Law enforcement called in to help. One neighbor sharing what she witnessed. Coming up.
And one local community determined to crack down on speeding. How Castle Hills is planning to handle the issue. But first, we are getting to some breaking news right now. Police are responding to a shooting near Zarzamura and West Laurel. It's on the city's west side. We have a crew heading there. It looks as if it's at some sort of a convenience store there. That seems to be at the center of all this commotion. You can see a number of police cruisers along with emergency vehicles are on the scene as we speak. Also, we do want to mention that we're getting this view from our Sky 12. And it seems that traffic is not interrupted in the area. Still, it is best to avoid it if you can. Let's move on. New tonight, a San Antonio police officer caught on camera repeatedly punching a handcuffed pregnant woman in a patrol car. Now, Officer Elizabeth Montoya is off the job, but she is trying to get back in.
An officer like Elizabeth Montoya should not be on our police force. She shouldn't be on any police force.
The night team's Dylan Collier uncovered this officer's history of violence towards people in custody. A warning, what you're about to see may be disturbing to some viewers. It's tonight's Defenders Report.
On a rainy morning in July 2018, body-worn camera footage shows it doesn't take long for things to escalate between Officer Elizabeth Montoya and suspect Kimberly Esparza.
Do not kick me!
Accused by San Antonio police of illegally possessing prescription drugs. Esparza, at the time 6 months pregnant, is briefly put on her stomach on the ground. But then after being placed in the back of a patrol vehicle, she's on the receiving end of a flurry of punches from Montoya, including 7 to her head. After a barefoot Esparza is put on the ground in a downpour, Montoya claims she reacted after being kicked by the suspect.
I was going to punch her in her side because that's what I normally do.
Termination paperwork for Montoya would later reveal that Esparza was left on the ground for 26 minutes.
It was incredibly disturbing.
Attorney Carolyn Wentland was contacted by a family member shortly after Esparza was charged with assaulting a public servant and resisting arrest, and was appalled by Montoya's actions at the scene.
Hey, I punched you in the face a couple times. I'll do it again, too.
Just your thoughts on an officer, a person sworn and to protect the public, making a comment like that?
I think it is a travesty. No matter what Ms. Esparza did or didn't do, she does not deserve to be assaulted. She's a human being. She's a tiny human being. At the time, she was a pregnant human being who was handcuffed and defenseless.
Although Wentland was able to get both charges tossed out and the drug possession allegation was rejected at the time of her client's booking, Esparza spent 46 days in jail. Montoya was fired in January 2019 for inhumane treatment of a prisoner and for misusing her body camera during this incident. She appealed and is scheduled to go before an arbitrator early next month. Personnel records show a pattern of Montoya having issues interacting with the public. The same week Montoya was fired, she was suspended 10 days for a separate incident that took place just 6 weeks after the Esparza beating. After encountering people sleeping in a near West Side parking lot, Montoya told one of them, quote, "Pick up all your expletive trash. I don't want to expletive hear it. I'll expletive tase you." Yet another internal SAPD investigation found that in April 2015, Montoya kicked a suspect in his stomach while he was handcuffed and lying on the ground, and was observed putting her foot onto the man's neck. After the department proposed suspending Montoya 10 days, then Interim Police Chief Anthony Trevino reduced it to 5 days.
I think that the fact that Officer Montoya ever became an officer, I'm not sure why she became an officer.
For the defenders,
She's fine. She's faking it.
Dylan Collier, KSAT 12 News.
Months after Esparza was arrested, she delivered a healthy baby girl who is now right around 3 years old. Montoya's union attorney did not respond to a request for an interview for this story. SAPD officials told us Chief William McManus moved swiftly to terminate Montoya after learning of the Esparza allegations. The department criminally investigated Montoya for this incident and the 2015 case. and forwarded its findings to the district attorney's office. Montoya was never criminally charged.
Now, new tonight, a deadly train crash on the city's northeast side. This one happened near Gibbs, Sproul, and Miller Road. Now, Bexar County deputies say that a man got hit as he was walking along those tracks there. Emergency crews tried everything, including performing CPR, but it was too late. And right now, the Bexar County medical examiner is trying to find out who that man was. Now, that same medical examiner also trying to identify someone else tonight, and that's because crews found a body on the banks of the San Antonio River. It was near the Blue Star complex in Southtown. Crews found it around noon and then called police.
I've never seen this before, ever, and I've been walking here, like I said, over a decade.
Also, the medical examiner wants to figure out how that man died.
A new leader set to take the reins at CPS Energy, at least for now. Starting next Monday, Rudy Garza will become interim president and CEO of CPS Energy. He joined CPS Energy in 2012, will now become the first Hispanic leader to hold that position. The utility's board of trustees appointed him in the lead position while they search for a permanent replacement for embattled CPS Energy president and CEO Paula Gold-Williams. She will not leave the company until sometime in January. Until then, she'll serve in an advisory role. Garza released a statement saying in part, quote, "My focus will be to ensure our employees and systems are prepared for the winter months and to rebuild the trust of our community," end quote.
Now, the Supreme Court is hearing arguments on the most restrictive abortion law in the country. And this case is centering around how lawmakers crafted that legislation. Texas's measure bans most abortions after a woman is 6 months pregnant. It also allows private citizens to file lawsuits against people who violate the law. Now, Justice Sonia Sotomayor raised a concern about this. Listen.
So this is not limited to abortion. That's the point that's been raised. It's limited to any law that a state thinks it's dissatisfied with.
Justice Brett Kavanaugh suggested that the same strategy couldn't be used in other constitutionally protected rights. The Supreme Court is expected to announce its decision sometime before the end of this year.
And I start us off tonight with some good news. The aquifer is in a healthy position. Yeah, it's down a little bit today, 1/10 of a foot, but we're now out of stage 1 watering restrictions. They are lifted starting tomorrow, back to year-round watering rules. So that means before 11 a.m. or after 7 p.m. And it doesn't have to be on your designated day. Another cold front is on the way. Get ready for a big temperature drop and boosted rain chances. I'll see you in a bit with all the details.
All right, Adam, thank you. Now at 10:07, we want to get back to that breaking news that we showed you just a few minutes ago. Police responding to a shooting near Zarzamura and West Laurel, which is specifically on the city's west side. You're getting pictures here from Sky 12. We do have a crew heading to that scene. You see multiple police cruisers there. And of course, we have a crew that we just said headed there trying to get some information for you. So please stay with them.
And Steph, by the way, we're hearing that there are at least 3 victims. That means that at least 3 people that were hit by gunfire in this area. Again, we are monitoring it from above. We have a crew headed this way on the ground. We hope to give you a live update before this newscast is over. A holiday to honor lost loved ones now underway. This Day of the Dead exhibit right here in San Antonio, where you can see it coming up.
And American Airlines canceling thousands of flights over the weekend. But here's the thing. The airliner says that now things are going to be different. Find out how.
Plus, a night of trick-or-treating turns dangerous when this woman allegedly pulled a gun on a young boy. One witness actually sharing her account. It's next on the Nightbeat. This trick-or-treat came with a trigger, a scary situation about an hour north of San Antonio. Investigators say this woman pulled a gun on a 7-year-old who was walking outside her home on Halloween night. Now Monica Bradford is at the Hays County Jail. Neighbors in Buda say it's the second Halloween in a row they've had an incident with Bradford. Hays County Sheriff's deputies responded to the home just after 7:30 last night. One neighbor recalls what they heard.
She just asked me who's in my driveway, and I was like, I don't know. She said, fine, since you can't tell me, I'm gonna go get my shotgun.
The little kid probably needs counseling, or, and he's got to deal with that. He or she's got to deal with that for years. Don't tell him.
That woman facing a second-degree felony tonight.
All right, so there are lots of disappointed air travelers tonight. American Airlines canceling 250 more flights today. And if that sounds familiar, it's because Southwest did something similar a few weeks ago. And here's the issue: staff. Airlines have fewer workers now. Data from the Transportation Department shows that the airline industry is down about 7,000 workers from 2019.
Most major airlines laid off or furloughed thousands of employees early in the pandemic and have been hiring back, but it's been a slow and steady process.
All right, so American Airlines canceled more than 2,000 flights since Friday, but this is the part that you should pay close attention to because the airline does expect 1,800 flight attendants to come back on the job soon, or excuse me, this week specifically. So that is an improvement. Now, keep your eyes peeled because tomorrow may be a big day for kids and the COVID-19 vaccine. An advisory panel to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention will consider Pfizer's vaccine for kids between 5 and 11. The Food and Drug Administration endorsed that vaccine last week. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky is the one who really has the final say on this.
Also tomorrow, it's Election Day.
Yeah.
The final day to cast a ballot in several races, including school bonds, state constitutional amendments, and municipal races. There's also that runoff race for House District 118. Polls will open from 7 in the morning tomorrow to 7 at night. We'll be tracking those results on KSAT.com and, of course, on the Nightbeat tomorrow night.
I'm not ready to say goodbye to that.
I'm not either. We don't have to yet. We have the River Parade on Friday. Today officially kicks off Dia de los Muertos. November 1st is generally reserved to honor the children who have passed.
And tomorrow centers around adults, and these types of celebrations involve putting pictures, food, and drinks onto altars, and they're pretty much works of art,
Yeah,
right?
they are.
You can see several of them at the Guadalupe Cultural Arts Center. You'll see marigolds, papel picado, and candles right next to the photos. That center began hosting that exhibit in the late 80s, and we know that local school and businesses participate in that, so pretty cool stuff.
It's cultural, it's traditional, but it's also very personal.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
All right, Live Camp is at the Pearl tonight, where they also have some altars set up and some ofrendas.
Yeah,
and that's beautiful right there. You said works of art. That's exactly right.
And it's funny because all those colors with the flowers remind you that it's fall, and we're definitely getting those fall-like temperatures, although with a little something else, right, Adam?
Yes, that's right. We have another cold front on the way, and this one you are going to feel. You're going to feel the effects of it later on this week, even more so than some previous ones. Midweek rain likely along with that front as well, and get ready for jacket weather all day on Thursday, not just in the morning, but all day long. So here's a quick little snapshot of what we're expecting. This is a noticeable to strong cold front that's on the way. Our afternoon temperatures going from near 80 down into the 50s for a brief period. Morning temperatures not taking as big of a hit. We'll be back down into the 40s, which is where we were over the past several days, and especially over the weekend. So let's talk about temperatures. 55 this morning. 79 the high temperature today, not far from average. Currently we're at 68 degrees with a dew point of 61. Southeasterly wind has bumped up those dew points a little bit, so a hint of humidity in the air, but not a big deal. It's all going to be swept away again, by the way, as that front moves through slowly on Wednesday. So let's talk temperatures. The front is actually just parked to the north of us in North Texas, and it's not going to move much over the next day and a half. I mean, temperatures in the 40s behind it in the Panhandle, and then 30s farther north up the plains, whereas ahead of that boundary, 71 in Hondo, 67 New Braunfels, still 77 in Del Rio, and some lower 60s in the hill country. You know, tomorrow morning, I think most of us will be right near 60 degrees, obviously some upper 50s in the hill country. And by tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be a lot like today. 79 here in town, you get to 87 in Cotulla, 86 Carrizo Springs, and Laredo probably topping out at 90 degrees. But high temperatures are going to take a big hit behind that front later on this week. So tomorrow, 80 Converse, 78 Leon Springs, Timberwood Park, 78. Look what happens. Wednesday, near 70. Then by Thursday, that's not a typo. We are expecting afternoon high temperatures, so the warmest temperature of the day to be about 58 degrees on Thursday. There's that front again, slowly going to be pushing southward over the next day and a half, basically. And with it will be some areas of rain. I mean, we're talking just some fog to start the day again tomorrow, just like what we had earlier today, leading to a little bit of afternoon sunshine. Carbon copy of today. No big changes. Basically continuation of what we've been experiencing. And then we get into Wednesday, early morning. We're talking pre-dawn hours, drizzle, dampness, sprinkles, kind of that nuisance moisture out there. That's not going to add up to a whole lot until we get to Wednesday night on into early Thursday morning. Once that front really pushes through, we could have some more substantial rain, maybe a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch in spots. So here's another way to look at it. Tuesday night, 20% chance. Wednesday night, we're up to 60% chance. So higher likelihood and better coverage across our area than rainfall tapers off throughout the day on Thursday. So tomorrow, as I said, very similar to today, near 60 in the morning, up near 80 by the afternoon. We'll break free of that morning fog probably by 10, 11 a.m. And then there are those temperatures taking a dive, especially those afternoon readings. We could be talking 58 a high by Thursday. Then we rebound just in time for Friday and the weekend back in the 70s.
All right, Adam, thank you. And now we are going to go back to that breaking news that we have on the west side where there were 3 shooting victims near Zarzamura and West Laurel.
Yeah, and I looked it up on the map. It looks like there's a convenience store there. There's a maintenance shop, a lot of residential homes as well. Let's check in with our Patty Santos, who is live at the scene. Patty, we heard that as many as 3 people may have been hit in this gunfire tonight.
Yeah, police are still trying to figure out if possibly a 4th person might also have been injured. We want to show you the scene out here. As you said, it is very residential. It's exactly right in between several houses. I got a chance to talk to some of the neighbors that were here on their porch, and they tell me they heard what sounded like fireworks, and it's not what it was. When they came out, they found out that there was a scene out here, and we're limited on information right now. But as you said, there were at least three people injured, possibly a 4th. Police still just getting to the scene. As we were arriving, there were 2 ambulance vehicles that were leaving the scene. So this is very early on in the investigation process. We're waiting for an officer to arrive to give us more information on what they have and possibly any suspects. We're going to continue to stay on the scene here and bring you more on KSAT.com. We'll send it back to you.
Santos live from the city's west side, and a big-time investigation taking place there right now.
Yeah, we're going to continue to have updates, obviously, on our website and also on our morning show. All right, so now we want to send things on over to our friend Greg Simmons, and I don't know why you're smiling.
You know what? That's a very good point.
Because you don't want to cry? Is that what it is?
In the words of Ron Burgundy, that escalated quickly. And not for a good point. When we come back, the Spurs wrap up their road trip on a very, very bad note. I think they only led once in this game, and that was 11-10. And Randy Gregory's got himself a sack streak going on. Coming up. All right, San Antonio Spurs back on the road looking for the first win streak of the season in Indiana. First quarter, Keldon Johnson injects some life into the game with a thunderous slam. Spurs trail 10-9, and a play later, DeJounte Murray picks up where he left off on Saturday night with a mid-range jumper that ties the game at 13. But the Pacers respond with a 12-0 run, capped off by this Miles Turner basket and the foul. Spurs trail 43-33 after 1. Second quarter, Derek White tries to keep San Antonio in it with his 3, but Indiana just too hot in the first half, knocking down 12 three-pointers, including a step-back 3 from Karis LeVert to beat the halftime buzzers you hear. Spurs down 78-56 at the break. Third quarter was no better. Domantas Sabonis with a slam. He finished the game by 24 points. 8 Spurs finish in double figures, but it wasn't enough. San Antonio falls 131-118 in a game that wasn't even close. Coach Pop, not happy.
The game was obviously more important to the Pacers than it was to us. We didn't have enough guys mentally ready to compete or to execute for whatever reason. It happens in the NBA now and then, but shouldn't be happening this early in the year. Very disappointed in our play tonight in both execution and competitiveness.
All right, back home on Wednesday against the Dallas Mavericks.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
The Dallas Cowboys are now 6-1 on a 6-game win streak, and the most amazing thing, they were able to beat the Vikings on the road in Minnesota without Dak. Prescott was a late scratch before Sunday Night Football due to the sore right calf. He picked up in the game-winning touchdown in overtime against the Patriots in New England. So Cooper Rush would be called on for his first NFL start. He was amazing in this game, 325 yards, 2 second-half touchdowns. But you also have to give credit to the Dallas D, who kept the Vikings out of the end zone, except for 1 early touchdown. Randy Gregory was a monster, picking up his 5th sack in the last 4 games.
It felt great, man. It's the kind of win you need. It's been 2 straight games where we had to kind of tough it out. Kind of gives you that playoff, atmosphere. But that's the kind of wins you need. Kind of tough it out throughout the end and play through some adversity. Seems like we've been doing that a lot lately. and came out with the dub.
All right, next up for the Cowboys the Broncos on Sunday at noon in AT&T Stadium. When the Cowboys face the Broncos, they won't have to worry about linebacker and sack machine Von Miller. He's been traded to Los Angeles Rams for his second and third round picks in 2022 after 10 seasons in Denver. Reporters caught up with a former Aggie when he's leaving the Broncos facility today, and he was asked if he was surprised.
Yeah, surprising. I love, the Denver Broncos. It's just, everything is just still, new, and it's hard to, really put the emotions into words. This is all I know. This is all I, ever knew playing pro sports. Here with the Denver Broncos, I've been here through the ups and the downs, and it's always tough whenever you leave.
Yeah, very emotional there. Big game and our big game coverage next. The big game and our big game coverage this Friday night will be the number 2 ranked and undefeated Steel Knights hosting number 5 ranked Smiths Valley Rangers for the District 27-6A title. The Steel Knights come into this game 9-0 overall, 6-0 in district, coming off a dramatic 35-30 victory over the determined Judson Rockets, which wasn't decided until Josh Farner stripped the ball away and returned to 66 yards for the game-winning touchdown. The Smiths Valley Rangers are 8-1 overall, 5-1 in district, with their only loss to the Rockets on a last-second game-winning touchdown 2 weeks ago. Now these two teams who love to run the football collide this Friday night.
They're physical, they're undefeated. I have some friends that go there, and I know it's just going to be an exciting game.
I mean, they're undefeated, number 1 in our district right now, but we're looking to take the number 1 spot as district champion.
They've always been a good team, always had competition. With them, they're really physical, and they're really disciplined. And, all those teams that's really disciplined, really hard to beat, but I think it's going to be a good match Friday.
All right, kickoff between Smiths Valley and Steel this Friday night at Lenoff Stadium, set for 7 p.m. And KSAT 12 Sports will be there, starting live at 5. High school volleyball playoffs begin tonight. Class 4A by-district round between Hondo and Somerset at Medina Valley. Owls up 2-0, but the Bulldogs lead the third early. Layla Bermia with a well-placed hit and bounce, 10-6 Somerset. But Hondo rallies. Lindy Berger coming right at you with the emphatic spike. Hondo takes it in straight sets, advances to the second round. More highlights from this match on our website later tonight at KSAT.com.
Thank you, Greg.
You got it.
We'll be right back.
Want to get back to that breaking news. At least 3 people hit by gunfire on the city's west side.
All right, so we have our own team member there, Patty Santos. They were on the scene digging up information for us. Patty, last time we spoke, you said that there was a possibility a 4th person was injured. Tell us more.
Yeah, we're still trying to get confirmation on that, but I can tell you within the last few minutes, we have seen detectives working the neighborhood here, trying to get to talk to as many people that might have seen or heard anything. But right now, the focus seems to be centered around right in front of that house that you see right behind me there. Of course, as we said, at least 3 people, maybe a 4th. The public information officer actually just arrived on the scene, so we hope to get an update on that. But we did see 2 of the ambulances leaving the scene here when we arrived. We haven't heard anything else from officers, but as you can see, there is a high police presence here. And a lot of the neighbors that we talked to said they just simply heard what sounded like fireworks. We're going to continue to stay on the scene here and bring you more on KSAT.com. We'll send it back to you.
Patty, can we ask a follow-up question to Patty here? Are you seeing how many shots were fired out there? Have they put down any markers for how many bullets that they found in the area?
Right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, we actually haven't seen any of those markers. I was going around on the other side from what the view that you're seeing here, and I haven't seen any markers on the ground. We're just seeing they're pointing their flashlights, looking for any evidence right now.
Yeah, I was noticing the same thing. I don't see any indication that there were bullets that were left in the street itself.
Right, possibly happening inside a home somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that does it for the Night Beat. And don't forget that Good Morning San Antonio starts at 4:30.
Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.